on Lannon. Dan Herron steady again. 7 strong innings in his 3rd straight win. Veteran Cliff Lee. Rookie Taylor Jordan. It's game 2 on a Saturday night in the district. Nats will try to hang on to some momentum they gathered last night, putting 9 runs on the board, getting the weekend off to a good start. Ryan Zimmerman and the Nationals against the Phillies, and Ryan has hit so well against the Phils over the years. Season series, Phillies still up a game, and by the way, it was 9-9 last year. Even though the Nats have outscored them, they've out-homered them, and the bullpen ERA, it is no contest in that department. Bob and FP, welcome to Nationals Park. Now, Cliff Lee beat the Nationals once this year. They turned the tables on him with 4 home runs second time around. Quality pitcher. Some left-handers have a hard time with this guy, but not last time around.
Well, last time around they were very aggressive, and when you look at Cliff Lee, he's going to throw you strikes. This is a guy that's going to pound the strike zone, but he's in a little bit of a scuffle right now. His last 3 starts, he's 0-3 with a 6.0 ERA, and guys are starting to figure him out, and you wonder if all the innings on that car start to take a toll on Lee. He's thrown 2,186 pitches this year with a 71% strike rate. So you know one thing when you face Cliff Lee, you're going to get a lot of strikes, and the Nats were aggressive last time. Look for him to be real aggressive here tonight.
So his last 4 starts, just 1-3 with almost a 6 ERA. In his career against the Montreal-Washington franchise, 6-4 in 10 starts, but the Nats hoping to get right back at him in their own ballpark tonight. Then there's Taylor Jordan looking for his 2nd big league win. Won his last home start against the Mets when he got lots of run support. 2nd time around against the Phillies. They know him. He knows them. First pitch, straight ahead. For the achiever in you, and by University of Maryland, University College. Beautiful night at the ballpark. It's going to be in the low 80s. Mostly clear skies overhead. The Nats and the Phillies in Game 2 of this weekend series, and the Nationals are trying to even up that season series. Train celebrating its 100th anniversary by offering irresistible financing. Hard to stop a train. Really hard. Humidity at 54%. It's 81. Flags not moving much at all. at the ballpark tonight. The Nats at home are 32-28. Phillies 23-36 on the road. And Chase Utley is on a 4-game hitting streak, going 8 for his last 13, coming alive in that number 3 spot. But this is not the typical Phillies lineup with Ben Revere, their center fielder, and a good base stealer out. Ryan Howard out. They designated for assignment Delman Young before the game yesterday, and they're going to use the rest of the season to look at some of their kids. Taylor Jordan, 8th major league start, ERA, respectable 3.76, league hitting .283 against him. So he's pitched 41 innings FP at the major league level.
Yeah, and 131 innings between the minors and the majors this year. Davey Johnson saying before the game today that he'll be shut down after 155, but that could come sooner based on the health of Ross Ohlendorf. So last time out against Milwaukee, he received a no decision, 5 1/3, 4 runs on 4 hits, struck out 2, walked 2 through 85 pitches, 2-seam fastball, slider change is what the Phillies will see right now. It set the defense for the Nats behind Taylor Jordan. Stamp it, Harper Spanworth, Desmond Zimmerman, Rendon LaRoche, and Wilson Ramos behind the dish.
14-year veteran behind the plate, and that's Jim Reynolds. The crew chief, John Hirschbeck at first. James Hoy, second base. Bob Davidson at third. Phillies are 7th in the league in hitting, but they're only 12th in runs, top 7 in home runs. Jimmy Rollins an 0 for 4 night with a couple of strikeouts last night. He's 1 for 3 against Taylor Jordan, and here we go on a Saturday night. It's a good tailing fastball right in there, and we're underway at 7:06. Phillies have lost 15 of their last 19 since the All-Star break. They're 11 under 500. Fastball away. Counts even 1-1. Look at the late dip on that changeup at 83.
Remember last time out in Milwaukee, pitching on 6 days rest, his fastball touched 97 miles an hour, so more conventional 92 to the 83 mile an hour changeup right there to Rollins. It was a good one.
Davey Johnson's ball club, 5 under. And a fastball rides up and away. Count goes full to the first batter of the game. Jordan in those 41 innings we mentioned, 23 strikeouts, 7 walks. So he's been a control artist so far. On that pitch up, Jimmy Rollins fouls it out of play down the left field side. Good crowd gathering. I'd like to welcome those of you who are watching PGA Golf on WUSA 9. Good to have you with us on WUSA 9 and Masson here at the ballpark. We are just underway. Game on. Yeah, Jimmy Rollins leading off. 3-2 pitch. Cracks it to right. Here comes Worth, and he drops it above his shoe tops. Jimmy Rollins aboard safely. Interesting call for the official score. Jason Worth would tell you he'll catch this ball nearly every time.
Yeah, a little sinker right there from Jimmy Rollins, and it looked like Worth had a beat on it, a running catch. Full speed going after it, and I think they gave him an error.
That's only his second of the year. That'll bring in Michael Young, who's on a 4-game hitting streak with 5 base hits. He took some healthy hacks in the game here last night.
That might be one of those you see change to a hit once the Phillies get another one. You always want to make that first hit be a clean single. By no means is a sinking line drive at your shoe tops a routine play.
Right.
And like you said, though, Carp, Jason probably tell you he should have made that play, but still, I don't think it was routine.
Not at all. Jimmy Rollins, 15 steals in 21 attempts. We check him out on our Firestone Complete Auto Care Extra Mile Index. Most seasons with 15 or more, right there with Juan Pierre and Ichiro. A-Rod and Jeter, they might have done that for the last time, those two.
A-Rod may have done a lot of things for the last time.
That was a, to say the least, mixed crowd reaction at Yankee Stadium last night. Am I being kind? 0-2. Rollins went and then stopped. Desmond thus has a play at second. Rendon the relay, just beating it. Michael Young. Ball not hit that hard. It took a couple of long throws.
Boy, I'm shocked that it was even that close at first base. I thought Michael Young would have been through the base, but Anthony Rendon makes this close. Desmond gives him a nice quick feed. Rendon with his strong third base arm gets something on it, flat-footed, right on the money, LaRoche, and look how close this was, and it had no business even being that close. Rendon with a great turn.
That'll bring in Chase Utley. As mentioned, swinging the bat well, batting average over 280 now. And against Taylor Jordan, 1 for 3. 34-year-old veteran, looks like he's moving around pretty well. Coming back from some knee problems. Missed almost the first half of last year. Target is the outer half. That's a double play ball. Rendon's got plenty of time this time. And the Nats turn the 6-4-3. They're 98th of the year, and Taylor Jordan gets some ground ball outs. On 12 hits. And here they go again with the very same lineup. Adam LaRoche now, last 6 games, 8 hits, 2 of them home runs, 4 RBIs, so he's on a bit of a hitting streak. Jason Worth is 3 hits away from 1,000. Bryce Harper's 2 RBIs away from a career 100. And Wilson Ramos swinging the bat well, as is Anthony Rendon. Starting lineup brought to you by Mazda. We believe if it's not worth driving, it's not worth building. So Cliff Lee, 10 career starts against our franchise, 2.74 ERA, 6 wins, 4 losses.
And we said in the open, he's lost his last 3 starts with a 6 ERA, 12 earned runs and 18 innings pitched, after going 8-0 in his first 12 starts with a 2.40. So fastball, cutter, curveball change. What the Nats will see from Cliff Lee tonight.
Denard Span, a 1 for 5 night with a 2-run single last evening. And I was about to say he's had his share of success against Cliff Lee. With that base hit, he's 8 for 29 career against a good left-hander, and that had a nice sound to it.
Well, what did we say last time against Cliff Lee? The 4 home runs. The Nats came up hacking, very aggressive. A guy that's probably not going to walk you. 71% strike ratio throughout this season. Get this, 2,186 pitches, 1,557 strikes. So Denard Span, leadoff hit, and there goes a no-hitter.
Took the Nats till the 5th inning to get some of those home runs last time out. Bryce Harper had a first-inning double against him. He's on deck with Zimmerman stepping in. Yeah, so the Nats have had some great approaches against Cliff Lee, who in that game pitched 7 innings, gave up 9 hits and those 4 solo home runs. Ryan's hit 2 against him. 5 for 24, 2 solos career. Looked like Lee went soft with a changeup and missed over but low. 1 ball, 1 strike. Span with a good lead, not a huge one, and Lee will step off while looking at him. Denard this year 10 for 15 stealing. The Nats 54 steals on the year, 8th highest in the league. And that time Cliff Lee kind of quick pitched the runner and the batter. 2-1.
They talked to Rich Doobie today, Phillies pitching coach, and he said with Cliff Lee, he feels like I'm just going to pound the strike zone because his theory is hitters are going to make outs 7 out of 10 times. He wants him to put the ball in play. He figures your odds of getting a hit aren't great, so why wouldn't you throw the ball over the plate consistently? And he's a guy that's aggressive with the fastball throughout his whole career. He's not going to walk you. But when you think about it, it's pretty logical, right?
Absolutely. Well, the numbers back him up. Zimmerman, hot shot up the middle. Utley, knowing if he could get it to Rollins, it was hard enough to turn a double play. So the Phillies, in a way, turned the tables on the Nats. A nice 4-6-3 started by Utley.
Well, the Phillies said, I got you 6-4-3 double play, and I'll raise you a 4-6-3 sparkler right here from Chase Utley. Backhand on a hard hit ball off the bat of Ryan Zimmerman. And as soon as he feeds it to Jimmy Rollins, because the ball was hit so hard, you knew it was a double play. Nice play by the Phillies second baseman.
Phillies turned their 108th of the year. Bases empty, 2 outs for Bryce Harper. It's about to say the numbers back up Cliff Lee. The league's only hitting .235 against him. And he's won double-figure games for the 7th time in his career. So Bryce getting that late RBI hit last night, hitting .270. And against Lee, 1 for 9. Hard-breaking ball outside, 1-1.
Tell you what, as a hitter, even though you're facing a guy with plus stuff on the left side and Cliff Lee, it's so much easier approach to go up there, know you're hacking. And it takes a lot out of the equation. It's kind of a relaxing at bat. You pick a side of the plate, you know he's going to be around it. You know you're going to be aggressive. These kind of nights are fun for a hitter, even though you're facing a guy like Lee.
2-1, lays off the curveball. Nicely done. He knows the hot hitter's on deck. And Jason Worth has had 8 career hits, 2 home runs against Cliff Lee. Harper takes the 2-out walk. 41st walk of the year. It's another number that impresses us about Bryce. 41 walks, 60 strikeouts.
Pretty good pitch right there. It might have been up. Let's set the defense for the Phillies behind Cliff Lee. Brown, Martinez, Ruff your outfield. Rollins, Ashe the left side. Utley, Young the right side. And Carlos Ruiz behind the dish.
Jason Worth on base 3 times last night. Couple of walks, a run scored, a base hit. His on-base percentage sitting at .394. Throw him a strike, he'll do damage. Miss, he'll take the walk.
You know, I've had the privilege of sitting behind the cage for 3 years now, watching these guys take batting practice every day. The displays that Worth is putting on the last week or so, I've never seen him drive the ball like he has been in batting practice every day. Just exploding off his bat.
Well, his drives to the outfield after 7:05, pretty impressive lately as well. And what really impresses me is the way he's using the entire ballpark right now. That's a breaking ball that hangs upstairs. 2-1.
Yeah, it looks like so far that Jim Reynolds is hunting a low strike and not the high one. 3-1 pitch to Harper, very similar to that. Both balls.
That was an off-speed pitch, and Worth fouled it back. Counts even. 2-2. Ian Desmond batting 5th again tonight in front of Adam LaRoche with the Nats facing a lefty. But Harper and LaRoche, the left-handed batters, both contributing last night along with Denard Span. Jason Worth looks at a fastball, actually 87. So Lee took a little bit off. And that's it for the Nats. 1 stranded. And a runner stranded. Couple of double plays turned already. And the second inning presented by Luna. Call for the Luna double. Get your second room of flooring free at 877-241-LUNA. Four, 5, 6 for the Phils, led off by Dominic Brown. Base hit. He's now 2 for 4 against Taylor Jordan. Phillies have their first clean hit of the night. Darren Ruff, the right fielder.
Last night 0 for 4 with a couple of strikeouts.
He was a 20th rounder 4 years ago out of Creighton, where he was the Missouri Valley Conference Player of the Year. Jacks that one to left, and the Phillies are on top. That's his 6th of the year. It's 2-0. Taylor Jordan giving up his 3rd homer at the big league level.
No doubt about that one off the bat of Ruff. 6th home run of the year, and that got out of here in an instant. So Dominic Brown, first pitch base hit. Darren Ruff, first pitch home run on a high sinker from Taylor Jordan. And did you see him pull his hands in, get the barrel of the baseball, and keep that fair? Good swing, 2-0 Phils.
Phillies and the Nats have hit the same amount of home runs this year, 109. Here's Cody Ashe, the young third baseman. And that's 3 hitters hacking first pitch.
Watch Ruff pull his hands in right here on the sinker. He keeps his hands close to his body, fights to get the barrel of the baseball. Good swing.
That's a hot shot. LaRoche knocks it down. That's no chance to retrieve it. So Taylor Jordan's thrown 4 pitches in this inning. All 4 have been accompanied by swings and 3 hits. That would be a tough error to give. I can't believe they're waiting to make the call.
Well, I'll tell you right now, Wilson Ramos has to get the Phillies off the Taylor Jordan fastball. They're coming up hacking. They're doing exactly what the Nats are planning on doing to Cliff Lee, and you're going to have to mix it up and throw a first pitch slider, first pitch changeup, because they're not waiting around.
Carlos Ruiz, and he's aggressive. Still no call on that hot shot. And when it takes this long, the odds of getting it wrong greatly increase. Fastball inside. They've given him a hit, and in our opinion, got it right. I guess I shouldn't speak for you, but I think you agree with me.
No, totally. And they totally blew up your theory, too.
I don't like it when it takes them a long time to make those calls.
I know the reason you said that is because you watch the replay over and over again in X-Mo, super slow motion, and the play looks easy. You got to watch it at full speed, right?
Yeah. At the most twice, maybe once. That's right in there. And the count's 1-2 to Carlos Ruiz. 0 for 2 against Jordan, hitting .260 career. Number 8 spot, Michael Martinez on deck. That ball slapped hard and just foul.
Well, right now, Taylor Jordan is finding some barrels on these Phillies hitters' bats. Little souvenir there. Made his day. Made his summer.
Cody Ashley was what you would call a good base runner, not a prolific base stealer in the minor leagues.
Now, he said this about John Lannon early in the baseball game last night. He was missing above the strike zone. Taylor Jordan doing the same thing here early. He's a guy that when he misses, it has to be below the strike zone. Knees are below, and right now, got a little elevation. There's John Lannon.
Nats hit him hard last night. 5 innings, 8 runs on 9 hits.
Talked to him about that before the game today in the Phillies clubhouse. He said, you know what, with my son, I just go home and just makes everything okay now.
Runner goes and a bouncer to Zimmerman. No play at second because they started the runner. First out of the inning, Michael Martinez coming up. The Nats won and scored 7 or more yesterday. So until tonight, you get 50% off your regular menu price online order at Papa John's. Enter promo code NATS50. That's at participating D.C., Maryland, and Northern Virginia Papa John's locations. Michael Martinez, 3 for 18 at the big league level this year with a couple of RBIs. Switch hitter. All 3 of those hits from the left side. And Jordan gets a high strike.
Well, there you go. First pitch changeup. Try to get him off that fastball. Phillies have been aggressive.
Up the middle. Deflected by the pitcher. Desmond Barehand couldn't make the pickup. That ball was labeled for center field. Might have been another run. So Jordan kept it on the infield. and the double play could still get him out of the inning.
And you see the fastball elevated once again. Martinez all over it. Another hard-hit ball by the Phillies. Jordan tries to glove it. Good effort. Ricochet to Desmond. He goes do-or-die bare hand and can't make the play. Lee Kuntz are going to come out. Steve McCatty, see if Jordan's okay, see where it got him. And Steve McCatty's going to make this an official trip, too. Sometimes you can use that trainer as a little smoke screen to see if your pitcher's okay when he's scuffling. And sneak a trip in there without it being official. But the fact that McCatty stayed out there, this is a trip. Yeah, watch the location. Kind of middle away, and then Martinez pulls it back up the middle, and it looked like it got him in the glove.
Cliff Lee bunts it. Runner coming home, and safe. Ramos dropped the ball. I think Kobayashi might have beaten it anyway. So Cliff Lee trying to lay down a sacrifice bunt, gets an RBI.
Yeah, nice bunt by Lee. Ashe hustling down the line. And I think the play was to first, and I think he was going to be safe. Let's check it out. A little safety squeeze here by the Phils. Ashe reading the ball down the ground. He takes off. And Jordan tries to get rid of it, but I feel like Ashe was already across home plate even after Wilson Ramos drops the ball. Tough to tell where his foot is in relation to the tag, but it's irrelevant because he didn't hang on.
Still only one out and two runners aboard. Sacrifice, fielder's choice. So the Phillies already 3 runs in the inning and a chance for a huge crooked number here. That one down and in to Jimmy Rollins.
Well, the one thing Jordan always has in his back pocket is that ground ball, and he's hunting one of those right now.
Rollins slaps it up the middle. Here comes Martinez. Span no chance for a throw home. It's 4-0, and the Phillies have 5 hits in this inning.
And not a cheapie in the bunch. Yeah, pretty good game plan by the Phillies. They're all over the Jordan fastball tonight. Another sinker right there. Not a bad pitch. Rollins goes down and gets it right back up the box. And with the speed of Martinez, he scores easily to make it 4-0.
Taylor Jordan's shortest outing as a big leaguer, his first, June 29th at New York. And he gave up 1 earned run in 4 1/3. He's only registered 4 outs tonight, facing his 11th batter, Michael Young.
Well, there's been some speculation that the shutdown for Jordan could come as soon tonight based on his performance. Ross Ohlendorf making his first rehab start to Syracuse tonight. All eyes on Ohlendorf to see how he does. And when you talk about an innings limit around 155 and where Jordan is right now, you're wondering post Tommy John if maybe hitting the wall a little bit. If that's the case, then that's a go with Ohlendorf.
A couple of good breaking balls here to Michael Young. And the count 0-2. Did he get him? Yes, he did. Pretty good pitches there to Young. Strikeout number 1. Nissan will track it.
Yeah, he got ahead in the count. He had a chance to get to his slider. 85 miles an hour down the way. I don't think Young has seen the slider from Jordan yet and gets a strikeout.
And with 2 outs, Chase Utley. 9th Philly to bat here in the top of the 2nd. Utley hit sharply into a 6-4-3 double play first time. That ball gets away. Ramos turning around, finding it when it caroms back to him. So Cliff Lee to third, Jimmy Rollins to second base.
How about Cliff Lee running the bases? He was not satisfied with just getting to third. He rounded that bag hard and was thinking about scoring. Ramos right there in the changeup tries to backhand it. Probably would have been better served to slide over and block that with his chest. Went with the glove backhand all the way to the screen and 2 runners advance. That's one he had time to get in front of.
And the fastball missing outside. 3-0. Tanner Roark is already up. Right in there, 3-1.
Not necessarily a fastball camp to a good fastball hitter.
Changeup. Looked like a fastball.
Yeah, we bet in 3-1 heater. Got the changeup from Jordan. You think they may double up on that in a 3-2 count. Good pitch.
Dominic Brown started this inning with a first pitch single. Darren Ruff a first pitch homer. And then Cody Ashe, after fouling off the pitch, swinging first pitch, a base hit. Now the Phillies haven't looked back. 2 more hits are on to sacrifice in the inning.
But you can really see the grip from behind Taylor Jordan when he comes set in his glove. And the hitter can't see this, but the runner on second base definitely can. When he goes into his glove, he had that big changeup grip last time. If you're on second, you can see that, and plenty of time to relay that to a hitter.
Just be careful stepping off when Bob Davidson's looking at you from third base.
Well, it's just funny that they just talked about the pitch and then couldn't get on the same page.
3-2 to Utley again.
See the changeup grip?
And Utley will pop it up to center. Denard Span is there. Long inning. 9 batters. 4 Phillies score. And they are in command with Cliff Lee early. Time to go to work with the bats and get after this veteran left-hander. Thursday, the Giants will be here at 4:05 to wrap up the homestand. First 15,000 fans, 21 and over, get a Nationals ball cap presented by Miller Lite. Only at the center field gates. Only place to get it. While supplies last, some restrictions apply. Nationals.com/tickets. Ian Desmond, Adam LaRoche, Wilson Ramos, bottom of the second. So when he gets a couple of hits like he did last night, with a first inning single, a third inning double, the Nats are just about unstoppable. So that's from STG Inc. as we go inside the numbers.
And that's since June 4th, because when I first read that, I said he's only gotten 2 hits or more 13 times this year. It's been a few more times, but since June 4th, when he does, it's a W.
Cliff Lee. We'll see what kind of front runner he is here.
There's a veteran guy that pounds his zone already. He knows what to do with a 4-run lead. He'll be aggressive with his fastball, moving it in, moving it out. Probably won't change his game plan a whole lot.
But he'll give you opportunities to get back in it, won't he?
Well, he's going to challenge you, yeah.
Ian Desmond's 5 for 20 against him. Second inning, bottom half underway with a fastball outside. On the corner. And then just a little quicker with 90. Desmond couldn't catch up.
And he's a guy that'll stay away early to right. He's come in late hard with that cutter.
Target in. And he'll bounce it. Adam LaRoche, followed by Wilson Ramos here, bottom of the second. And a 2-2 and a good take. So he goes 80, 90, 91 in this at bat. 89, 90, and 91.
Yeah, good game plan off Cliff Lee is just look for the ball away. And he's going to stay out there for the majority of time against right-handed hitters. He'll come in late for effect, maybe early for effect, but the majority of his fastballs are going to be fastballs on the outer half.
Good at bat. Nothing worse for a pitcher than to walk the leadoff guy after being given a lead. Nats get their third base runner already.
Well, you could definitely question a 3-2 changeup up by 4 right there to Ian Desmond.
Yeah, Cliff Lee usually makes you earn your way aboard. They'll face Adam LaRoche here, who's on a 6-game hitting streak suddenly, with 8 base hits, 4 RBIs. Fastball whistles inside. Lee had a rather long first inning, 16 pitches. He only threw 7 strikes. Walked Harper, couple of hard hit balls, Span's base hit, and the Zimmerman double play ball was scorched up the middle.
Now you look at Lee's lines over the year, his game logs. He's walked 3 batters 3 times. He's already has 2 walks in this game. And we're only in the bottom of the second.
The breaking ball was hanging a bit. He's gone at least 6 innings, 19 out of 21 times. On a pitch low, the appeal and no swing.
And he's never walked more than 3 in a start, so 3's the most.
And LaRoche cracks one foul into the corner.
And just a hair quick on the 90 from Lee. Inner half, barrel to the ball, just caught it out front. A hair too quick. At distance.
And Adam will pop this one up. Michael Martinez for the first out, bottom of the second. For the Achiever in you, PNC Bank. And we check in on right fielder Brandon Miller out of Samford University in Alabama. He was a 4th rounder last year. Started his collegiate career at Georgia Tech. Went to junior college and eventually Samford. So with those Potomac Nationals, a hot week, hitting .419 slugging. Look at those numbers. Almost to 20 home runs, almost to 80 RBIs.
Call him up.
Can Harrisburg be far away for him?
This late in the season?
Runner goes. Line drive to center off the bat of Ramos. Desmond's going to be doubled up on a decent throw. Bottom of the second, underway with a walk, and then done quickly with an 8-3. .28 strikes. When you come to the ballpark, right here on Thursdays and Fridays, you can enjoy the Beltway Burger Pack for just $20. A game ticket, burger, fries, and a drink, starting at just $20, depending on your game ticket. Offer available online only. So visit nationals.com/burger pack. Some restrictions apply.
Dominic Brown, first time up, swinging a first pitch fastball from Jordan. Let's see if they change it up here second time around.
Went with the changeup. It was close. It was 93 with a little tail on it up in the zone.
You kind of see the look on Taylor's face right there. He knew he got away with one. 93 right down the middle, fouled it off, and he's having trouble getting that two-seamer to where he wants it.
Darren Ruff took him deep. The last inning, big blow of the game, got the Phils on top by 2. They would add 2 more. And he tried to pull that off-speed pitch. Good play by LaRoche. And to the bag, Jordan. Nicely done by first baseman and pitcher. First out, top of the 3rd.
And nice play by Adam LaRoche right here on a hard hit ball off the bat of Dominic Brown. Just goes a couple of steps to his right. Spin move. Easy throw right on the money. Jordan there. Nice play.
Nice dive by Rendon, by the way, in the background.
Yeah, that's good backup.
That was cool.
Selling out in case it gets under the glove of LaRoche. I like it.
Darren Ruff takes one, 91 at the knees. Out to Ian Desmond on a couple of hops. Taylor Jordan needs a quick inning. We'll see if he can do that here in the 3rd. Cody Ashe, the rookie, stands in his way. Watch Anthony Rendon behind.
I got that. I'm going to make this play. I'm going to make this play. Where's the ball at? Hey, wait a minute. It's good hustle, though.
I like it.
It's great. In his mind, he just made web gems. He made it last night with a couple of nifty plays.
That might be the play of the week on a ball caught by someone else.
Phantom play of the week to go with the Michael Morse Grand Slam.
Well done, Anthony. Cody Ashe. A hot shot off the glove of LaRoche first time.
If I'm Davey Johnson, I want my guys diving all over the place. That's great.
Great changeup right there. Mercedes-Benz will track it.
Yeah, pull the string, 83. Watch the late movement. Down and away. More down than away.
Adam LaRoche can just take that one, belt high. Good battle back inning. Taylor Jordan, 3 ground ball outs, diving, and now hitting. Anthony Rendon. Earlier today, they joined us for baseball, got here during the first inning, so we welcome them along with our regular Masson audience on this Saturday night. Bob FP and Julie with you from Nationals Park. Rendon, Jordan, and Span. Anthony Rendon, he's done some home run damage against the Phils this year.
He got a pitch out over the plate from John Lannon, got his hands inside the baseball mess. He's been talking about the adjustments he's been able to make as he's seen the league try to consistently pound him in. We always talk about how you stay at the highest level and how you succeed here is based on the adjustments you make. And we've noticed he's kind of opened his stance up a little bit, looking at the pitcher with both eyes rather than kind of that front eye, and being able to see that inner half, and he's been getting to that fastball in nice all of a sudden. Look at that. How many times you see that from Cliff Lee?
Yeah. As mentioned earlier, first inning was 16 pitches, only 7 strikes. But 2 double play balls have been huge for him. The Nats got 3 of their first 5 guys on base. Rendon sits safely 7 of his last 8 games. He's taking some really healthy swings. Inside the numbers with STG Inc. Cliff Lee struggling. First 18 starts, won 10 out of 12 with a low ERA. When the Nats beat him, he was 10-2 after 18 starts. And the league was only hitting .222 against him. And the Nats really swung the bats well that night at CB Park. This one out of play at the bank. And the count's 2-2.
Well, Philly's got some good news today. Roy Halladay threw a simulated game in Clearwater through 75 pitches, came out of it nice, and free agent after the season. They're looking to have him come back sometime in September. Next step, a minor league rehab start for Halladay.
Rendon looks at one in the dirt, 3-2. Might have been ball 4. Rendon fishing upstairs, unable to get it. Cliff Lee strikeout number 2.
He had something to his wrist on the swing and the miss. Kind of grabbing his hand on the way to the dugout. Watch the reaction after the swing. And you just hope that was nothing serious, but there was some pain in that strikeout for Anthony Rendon.
Taylor Jordan is a big league hitter, 2 for 13. And a very quick strikeout. First time through the order. The Nationals go 1 for 6. 1 for 7 with 2 walks. Double plays, taking care of both runners. At least one of them in the first and the only runner in the second. So here's Denard Span again. And he had a loud single up the middle first time up. He's going to try to drag a bunt by the mound and leave with the bare hand. Well, you talked about his quickness on the bases. That time with the glove and the bare hand. Give them a big salute. It's our DynCorp International Troop Recognition. At DynCorp, we serve today for a better tomorrow. Great to see those families here. Top of the fourth inning. Phillies lead the Nats 4-0, out hitting Washington 5-1. Kind of a mixed bag for Taylor Jordan. Look at the 7 ground ball outs. You would figure if he had 7 of those in 3 innings, he'd be having a very good game. Let's hope he turns things around. He's retired 5 in a row. And that one's on the corner to Carlos Ruiz. He bounced out to Ryan Zimmerman first time. That ball kind of knuckling its way out into center field. Funny looking swing. The ball heading for the gap, and all of a sudden it made a right turn. Landed in front of Denard Span.
Hey, remember last year with all the talk about the Steven Strasburg shutdown? He actually got shut down before he got to 160 innings. And I remember talking to Ryan Matthews and Sean Burnett, 2 guys that had Tommy John surgery. They both agreed 100% that when you get to a certain point post Tommy John, around that 130, 140 innings, you start to feel the fatigue. And you reach back and it's just not there. Your stuff kind of flattens out and you lose command. And you saw that in Steven Strasburg's last start last season. And not to make excuses for Taylor Jordan, he's done a nice job so far as a major league pitcher for the Nationals, but tonight he's finding a few more barrels than he normally has, and his fastball's been elevated at times.
And I remember a conversation that we all had with Mike Rizzo. It wasn't just about the present and a guy getting tired, but FP, it's also about the future. And he said, I've already had to look at this young man one time in the eye, talking about Strasburg, and telling him, you're having Tommy John surgery. He said, I don't want to look him in the eye 2 or 3 years from now and say, now you have to have shoulder surgery. So it's a combination of what's going on now and what you want to happen well for the young man down the road that, brings the ball club to the point of making such a tough decision.
Well, and Taylor Jordan's done a nice job to show the Nationals and everybody in the major leagues that he belongs here. He's done very well for his future in his short time up here.
0-2 with the target inside. Base hit. They tried to jam him, and then Martinez turned on it. And the Phillies have 2 more hits. And Cliff Lee probably about to lay down another bunt.
Hey, you remember that last start for Strasburg? It was September 7th against the Marlins. He lasted just 3 innings. Gave up 5 runs, so he reached 159 in the third. And Davey Johnson, Mike Rizzo looked at his stuff more than the numbers of the innings and decided that was it.
Well, last time up, Cliff Lee made things happen quickly, bunted it well on the very first pitch. Talking defense. Battery, shortstop, first baseman.
A guy that can handle the bat, and with a 4-run lead, not always guaranteed to bunt right here. Probably bunting, but he's not afraid to pull it back.
Zimmerman pinching from the corners. 0-1 pitch, and Lee fouls it straight down. That one got Wilson Ramos.
Well, first one got Wilson, and the second one got Wilson. You saw the shot of Lee asking Ramos if he was okay after the first pitch, and this one, another ricochet piece, gets the Buffalo. And Jim Reynolds going to go out to the mound, hand the ball to Taylor Jordan to try to buy Wilson Ramos a few seconds here to figure out if he's okay and to shake it off. Pretty sure that got him in a bad spot. Not that there's a good one, but there are worse ones.
No balls, 2 strikes. Lee still squared around early. And he's gone. Not one of his better efforts. Trying to move a couple runners. That could turn out to be a big play later. Taylor Jordan gets out of this inning. Nats have 2, 3, 4 coming up. You could have a bit of a shift in a hurry. Time for Toyota Case for Kids. DC area Toyota dealers helping children and their families. They make a donation of $37 to the Children's Inn at the National Institutes of Health for every strikeout by a Nats pitcher this season. 2 so far tonight.
You know, there's all this talk in baseball about guys relaying signs from second base. A lot of times, veteran guys will relay location. And catchers, when they're on second, like Ruiz is right now, definitely no sequences, but you really don't need that with Jordan. You can just see right into his glove. Sometimes that's the best place to look if you're on second base and you're relaying signs, or you're relaying pitches, or relaying locations. A lot of guys, to combat that as pitchers, will change the grip in their glove late, but when Jordan comes set, he's already got his grip, and that's what he's going with.
Out to second, Rendon to Desmond. It's a 4-6-3, and we'll see if that failure to lay down the bunt comes back to haunt the Phils. So it's Zimmerman, Harper, and Worth. 2-3-4 straight ahead. Something's going to happen.
Yeah, that little mutant sawed-off shark goes after him. Check it out.
Teddy going backwards, works his way through everybody.
Oh, there it is.
Shark going after Teddy. You know, and really for a lot of people, as Zabe comes home the winner, Shark Week cannot end soon enough.
That's more like a guppy. I mean, there's nothing scary about that little guy. I'm not running from him.
Don't tell that to Teddy.
Teddy needs to
The Rough Rider did a 180.
He needs to tighten it up.
Yeah.
Turn around and kick him. Something. Come on.
Zimmerman, Harper, Worth. Most career homers against the opponents. Now, you would expect they would all be from the East, right? But for some reason, he owns San Diego, who the Nats usually play anywhere from 6 to 8 times a year. And then, of course, all the others in the division. First pitch, breaking ball from Cliff Lee, bottom of the fourth. Ryan hit the ball sharply first time. Chase Utley speared it up the middle and turned a very nice 4-6-3 with Jimmy Rollins. That ball hit hard to left. Heading for the wall. It will one hop and go into the bullpen. Zimmerman a double to lead off the fourth.
He was thinking, I might try to sell this into a home run. What the heck? See him bust into his trot with a smile around second base. 20th double of the year for Zimmerman. And we talked about the adjustment last night. Has his feet kind of more up underneath him, not as spread out in his stance. It's allowed him to get to the baseball quicker, stay on top of the ball. And a very short, compact swing right there. And that ball was roasted. It's a little bit too much topspin to get out of here, but a one-hop ground rule double to start off the fourth.
Well, here come the Nats with a chance to turn the evening around. Bryce Harper walked first time. Worth struck out. Desmond walked. Those are your next three hitters. And Bryce 1-for-9 career with that pass against Cliff Lee. '86 right in there, inner half. Fastball severely jamming him, and Bryce able to stop his momentum toward home plate.
Well, it can't really jam you till you swing the bat, but Cliff Lee is trying to throw that cutter on the inner half to get you to stay on it. Then he went with the straight fastball right there, and Harper did a nice job of holding up.
That's right in there, and Bryce walks away. Strikeout number 4 for Cliff Lee. So Nissan will track it.
Excuse me, Carp. Everything in the whole series, and then he goes away on the outer half with a little paint for strike 3.
Worth called out looking first time.
Called out looking on a backdoor cutter from Cliff Lee, and it looks like that's the game plan for Lee versus Worth, the outer half. I'll tell you what, it's tough as a hitter to stay on that ball in the outer half, and it looks like a ball all the way and it comes back, but you have to convince yourself against Lee to stay on it.
And he comes to the inside half for a strike. In protect mode, Jason fouls it off. There's our Firestone Complete Auto Care Index Extra Mile. And The highest average against the fastball. Well, Miguel Cabrera, he's got the highest average against everything. But Worth's on the list, along with some of the best RBI men in baseball and Chris Johnson, who leads the National League in hitting. Off speed, base hit. Here comes Zimmerman. Martinez, no throw. Nats on the board as Jason Worth collects his 998th career hit.
Yeah, right back up the middle. Look at him stay back on the curveball from Cliff Lee. I mean, he just walks in the box right now, and you're thinking, where is this next hit going? I mean, that's the kind of confidence that his teammates have in him right now, and that's the kind of confidence that Jason Worth is sporting right now. Everything off his bat seems to be a knock. More times than not, it's on the barrel, and even when it's not, he's still getting his hits.
Here's Desmond. Walked his first time. And he hammers one to center. Martinez can only watch it hit the wall. Here comes Worth. Trent Jewett will hold him. That would have taken a long throw by Chase Utley, but with one out, the Nats will have second and third, and they are ringing some shots around the ball yard now.
It just short hops the fence in right center, and just talked about staying on that cutter away, convincing yourself to swing that it's going to come back, and that's exactly what that pitch was right there to Desmond. Short hops the wall. Jason Worth, who's been bothered by that growing, is held up at third by Trent Jewett. Probably factored into Jewett's decision.
Yeah. So Ian Desmond, RBI, rather extra base hit number 48, double number 30. And he's setting the standard for shortstops when it comes to what they used to call long hits.
Boy, doesn't it seem like every big at-bat for about the last 2 weeks has found Adam LaRoche?
Well, flied to center first time. Well, breaking ball. Ball one. 35 of his 50 RBIs in situations just like this. Lee goes with the fastball and misses ball two. He's taking a couple of long looks back at Jim Reynolds here.
Yeah, both pitches close. You see the first one, the bottom of the zone, and that one, according to Pitch Track, caught the outside corner. LaRoche will take the 2-0 count. Nasty cutter right there at 87.
Beautiful baseball evening.
Gorgeous sunset.
Nats on the board, trying to get closer. After the Phillies had first and second, nobody out last inning. Couldn't get a bunt down, hit into a double play. And as we mentioned then, this game a chance to change in a hurry.
Huge pitch coming to LaRoche. A 3-run lead. Charlie Manuel has his infield back. He's just trying to put it in play. Ground ball to second, ground ball to short, even a ground ball to first is a run.
Worth ready to read the situation at third. He'll read it and come on home. Productive out. It's a 4-2 game. Desmond over to third base. So Worth drives in a run, now scores.
Hey, that's no easy thing against Cliff Lee in a 2-strike count to put the ball in play. It's a nice job by Adam LaRoche just to hit the ball to first base and get the run in. And yeah, you deserve some high fives in that dugout. It's good at bat. And trying to go down and away to LaRoche. This one kind of more down the middle. 91 miles an hour, just rolls over, puts it in play with 2 strikes to bring the Nats within 2.
It's one of the best base runners in baseball right there. Even hobbled a bit. So Ramos represents the tying run. He killed the ball last time to center. Desmond was running on the pitch, and Ian was doubled off first. Ramos is 4 for 9 career against Cliff Lee, with one of those 4 home runs at Citizens Bank Park last time around. So he's really had some good swings against this veteran lefty.
On a 1-0 count, he's thinking tie game right here, guaranteed.
Sounded like a busted bat, and the count's even, 1-1.
Well, he brought his glove. He just didn't bring his glove. It's a good effort. Just got to think twice next time you boo a guy that makes an error, that's all.
He's got a first base picker, too. Evidently, it's got to be on the ground for him to make that pick.
Yep, you're on TV and you're getting texted. Good try.
Almost a foul tip, strike 2. Anthony Rendon, if the inning continues. And Fernando Abad is up. Taylor Jordan's thrown 62 pitches in 4 innings. But he has 9 ground ball outs with a couple of double plays. Ramos works it back even.
You wonder if that's if they get to the pitcher's spot, or is Taylor Jordan's night done?
Ramos pulls it. The left side, Cody Ashe. Nats will pick up a couple on Zimmerman's double, Worth's base hit, a Desmond double, and a LaRoche ground ball.
Time for your Amtrak game summary. Follow the Nationals on Acela Express now with 16 daily departures between D.C. and New York. Book now at Amtrak.com. Well, the story of this game has been defense and some double plays. Let's go back to the first inning. Chase Utley with a little 6-4-3 double play. Nice turn by Anthony Rendon, winging it over there. And how about the Phillies trying to top the Nats with a sparkling 4-6-3 double play. Cliff Lee lights it. Atta baby. Yeah, picking up his defense, and then how about another 4-6-3 double play? So twin killings all over the campsite tonight for both teams. Flashing some leather. Everybody but the fan down the right field line, that is.
It is so easy to get crushed during one of our telecasts.
Yes, it is. I mean, it's a good try.
He brought the glove, but he didn't bring the glove. Michael Young, top of the 5th inning. He has grounded out and struck out. But those double plays, well, they've kept Taylor Jordan in the ballgame. He got a couple when he needed them. And as mentioned earlier, out of 12 outs tonight, 9 on the ground. Couple of strikeouts. 1 fly ball by Chase Utley, who will bat in a moment. And Young will hit a 2-hopper to Ian Desmond. Fifth inning underway with a ground ball. Utley and Brown, the next 2 for the Phils.
You know, Desmond doesn't always use it, but when he does, it is so much fun to watch his arm. He usually uses it when he needs it. Every once in a while, he'll let it eat just kind of on his own because he feels like letting one go. But watch this one. As soon as he gets around this one, you know, here it comes. Bam, over the top. 97, all the way across the infield to first. It's fun to watch LaRoche a little wrestle there at the backhand. Had a little hair on it.
Yeah, those live arms, that ball's not coming over there straight. We don't get that perspective from our high home camera up here. But I mean, those guys, and that was true when Danny Espinosa was here. Rendon's got a live arm. Ryan Zimmerman, of course. That ball's moving on Adam LaRoche. Utley, double play ball, fly ball to center, 0 for 2. And in the series, 2 for 6, had a single double RBI last night. Outside, 3-0. Outfield around to the left a bit. 3-1 pitch. Utley made an offer. He did hold, says Bob Davidson. 1 on, 1 out. Taylor Jordan still battling here in the 5th inning. Julie has more on him.
Well, Davey Johnson said today in regards to Taylor Jordan, he said that we're going to treat him like any other regular starting pitcher. He said we're going to let him go as far as he can go, and when you look like you're losing it, that's when we're going to take you out. He said we're going to have to see by the way he throws. As far as Ross Ohlendorf, he made a rehab start tonight at Syracuse, went 3 innings, gave up 5 hits, 1 run, and will throw a side session on Tuesday. It would have been Monday, 2 days later, but since it's an off day, he's going to go on Tuesday and then decide if he needs another rehab start or if he's ready to go.
Dominic Brown takes ball 1.
Well, you just hope the big windup's okay. And he gets that velocity back on his fastball after that 114 pitch effort in the second game of that doubleheader against the Mets. Very inspirational effort. And we watched how his fastball velocity tailed off that game. Came in his next relief appearance and was throwing about 80-81. So we hope he's all better because we are big fans of the big windup.
Yeah, we'll see what we can find out about that. He did throw 63 pitches tonight. But you've got to have a certain amount of that to play at the big league level when it comes to throwing hard. He was throwing hard until that last time out. So that's 2-0 to Dominic Brown as suddenly Taylor Jordan nibbles here a bit in the 5th inning. He's a pitcher who just doesn't walk guys. That was only his 8th walk in nearly 46 innings this year. Mercedes-Benz will track it.
Well, I think this is where you go to get Dominic Brown out. He's a good low ball hitter, but has trouble sometimes with that loop in his swing, getting to the high fastball, and Jordan challenges him up and wins that battle.
Yeah, down and in. That ball really bangs off the railing in front of the Nats dugout.
The screen just saved somebody's life.
Yeah.
Here's
Dugouts have always had railings, but not screens until recent years, and I mean that thing.
It's Gio. It almost got Gio.
Oh.
Now they're having a laugh, but if that screen wasn't there, they would not be laughing.
2-2 pitch. Had him reaching. Ground ball on the charge. Rendon gets Brown. Utley to second base. 2 outs. Another ground ball out. That's 11 tonight. August 29th, after the Nats take on the Marlins, it is Sammy Hagar on a Thursday night after a night game. Game tickets start at $10. Nationals.com/Nats Live. You must have a valid game ticket that says August 29th. And by the way, it must say Washington Nationals as well.
I would say anybody that graduated class of 80 through maybe, 87, 88, just call in sick Friday for work. Just tell them you're not coming, because you're not going to make it.
And hopefully your boss is in that same category. He'll understand. Darren Ruff. Long home run, first time up, a 2-run shot back in the second. And since then, Taylor's been keeping the ball away from him. Really good-looking breaking ball there.
Well, that's where Dan Herron had this success last night against Darren Ruff. That cutter away and the split on the outer half.
Got him down. Good pitch on 0-2. Taylor Jordan has found it. After a really rough second inning, he's been great the last 3 frames. Well, the big guys are watching from left field, hoping the Nats can get back into this one. It's a 4-2 ball game. Lots of time to work with. And tomorrow, it'll be Steven Strasburg and Kyle Kendrick. Make a note if you're coming down here. It's a 5:05 first pitch. Then the Giants are in for 3. Gio and Madison Bumgarner. Zimmerman and Tim Lincecum Wednesday after the day off, Monday. And then Dan Herron, Ryan Vogelsong on Thursday. And the Phillies are off to Atlanta Chicago and Kansas City. Bottom of the 5th, it'll be Rendon. It appears Scott Hairston will hit for Taylor Jordan, and then Denard Span.
I tell you what, you got to give Taylor Jordan a lot of credit. And he didn't have it early. Everything was up. And for a young guy to battle through that, come back and right the ship and have the outing that he had, that's mature stuff from Taylor Jordan.
Tanner Roark is up and throwing for the Nats. Had a nice debut a couple of nights ago with 2 scoreless innings. And a changeup strikes out Anthony Rendon. Cliff Lee pulling the string for his 5th K. And right-handed versus left-handed specialist Scott Hairston coming in. Scott's got some numbers against Cliff Lee, too. 6 career hits and 2 solo home runs.
Remember, that was his first start as a National against Cliff Lee. And after the trade, we said he'd be in there, and promptly singled in his first at-bat right back up the middle.
Yeah, he pulled off a 2 for 5 that night. Taylor Jordan walks 1, strikes out 3. Gets a couple of double play balls, gives the Phillies 4 runs on 7 hits in 5 innings. But he kept his team in the game after that long 4-run second. And also racked up 11 ground ball outs in just 5 innings. Pretty good.
Very nice job.
Change up inside. Hairston laid off. 2-1.
Look at the sweat on Cliff Lee's glove. Look at that, sweating right through it. Don't see that too often.
Hairston out to center. Looks like he got it off the end of the bat. So Michael Martinez in for the grab. 2 outs. Slots, tables, and dining. The ultimate triple play at Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races. The Phillies have had 11 starts this year of 5 or fewer innings by their frontline guys. And since July 20th, only the Rockies have more. And those are the 2 highest ERAs in the league. Philadelphia 4.26, Colorado 4.27.
Rich Juby, the Phillies pitching coach, had some interesting takes on, how the postseason takes a toll on your ball club when you keep going there year after year, no matter how deep you get. Saying that he thought maybe teams should stay 2, 3, 4 days after they're eliminated just to go through their normal routine, kind of to flush out their system and get ready for the offseason.
Denard Span with a high drive to right center. That ball is up against the wall. And he's into second base. Right up against the scoreboard at about the 380 mark. And Denard Span driving one a long way. 2 for 3 tonight.
I'm trying to see where that hit. Maybe halfway up the scoreboard. It's a fastball, gets the head out. And Denard Span has looked good of late, starting to drive the baseball. This one to right center field where the ball carries the most at Nats Park. So a 2-out double for Span.
Yeah, that looked about 2/3 of the way up that 15-foot scoreboard.
So hard to see with its lights and how bright it is where it actually hits, but that ball was crushed.
Well, big spot for Zimmerman now. First base open. Harper on deck. Cliff Lee, we'll see if he goes after Ryan here. He did with a fastball, but it was well upstairs. Ryan doubled it, bounced into the left field bullpen last time. Zimmerman high in the air, right field, backing up Darren Ruff. Nats are gone in the fifth. They've had some extra base hits tonight. It's a 4-2 ball game into the sixth. Phillies lead, out hitting the Nats 7-5. It'll be Ashe, Ruiz, and Martinez. AFCIA with our sideline report, the Association for Global Security Professionals. Julie.
Hey guys, well, rookie Tanner Roark made his debut here with the Nats just a couple of nights ago, and there was a little bit of confusion as to how to pronounce his last name. Was it Rourke or was it Roark? I spoke to Tanner and he said, you know, all throughout the minors I went by Rourke, and then it was his grandmother, Lorraine. He said she comes up to about 5'9", and 4'9". She's a little thing, and he said that she insisted that he pronounce it Roark, and so to pay homage to his grandmother, he is going to go by Tanner Roark. He comes from a small town of about population 5,700 in Wilmington, Illinois, and to celebrate his major league debut, they all gathered around, had a little block party, all watched his debut here at Nats Park, and he said at the end of the night he called home to his family, and there were still some stragglers hanging out, about 20 people in the house, all just chilling and checking out the broadcast.
Very nice. You know, he's the Jordan Zimmerman of Wilmington, Illinois. Multi-sport star in high school. Pitched at the University of Illinois for the Fighting Illini. And he gets Cody Ashe on a ground ball, sixth inning underway.
Well, check out his major league debut against the Braves. First hitter, Brian McCann, a guy that can hit. Gets the out. Then Dan Uggla with a little ground ball to second base on a nice two-seamer. And how about the play on the bunt from Chris Bedlin? Dives off the mound to get the double play. So a nice major league debut and kind of lit the crowd up here at Nats Park.
Only early hit he gave up was a bloop to B.J. Upton to center field, and that was taken care of on that nice defensive play. So here's Carlos Ruiz.
Yeah, we just saw a fastball and a slider the other night. The fastball in the mid-90s and the slider in the mid-80s.
9-3 with a 3.15 ERA at Syracuse. Outs coming quickly. And combining with Jordan, that's 13 ground balls hit into outs by the Phillies tonight. Bases empty, 2 outs quickly here in the sixth.
And just FYI, if your grandma wants you to pronounce it Smith, you pronounce it Smith. Grandmas are always right.
Absolutely they are. Well, the Phillies, most of their box score crammed into the second inning. 2-run homer by Darren Ruff. RBI bunt by Cliff Lee and an RBI base hit, Jimmy Rollins. Other than that, 2 hits. Taylor Jordan got this game into the sixth inning. Fastball away from Roark to Michael Martinez, who has an infield hit and a clean single to right. Martinez has been around for a while, 30 years of age. Not a whole lot of time with the Phillies the last couple of years. 188 career hitter. He was hitting 298 at Lehigh Valley this year. He's been up with the Phils several times. Say one thing about Tanner Roark: when he comes in, outs come quickly. He has 3 major league innings scoreless under his belt. So we're all pointing to Bryce Harper to lead off the bottom of the 6th. He's 0 for 1 with a walk tonight. Worth and Desmond to follow. Middle of the ball game coming to a close. The Nats down by 2. Have a look at our do-ups for the bottom of the 6th. Visit Kia.com to learn why Kia is one of the fastest growing car brands in America. So Bryce, 11 of his 17 home runs here. Jason Worth, 10 of his 16. And Ian Desmond, 8 of his 16. Cliff Lee, 74 pitches, 45 strikes through 5. He's given the Nats 2 runs on 5 hits, 5 strikeouts, 1 walk. Harper didn't hurt him back in the 1st. And actually he walked another. That was Desmond leading off the 2nd, but he got that line drive double play to the outfield. So the Nats box score shows Denard Span coming alive, dispelling his 1 for 22 coming in with a couple of solid hits. Now the Nats looking for something from the middle on down to the bottom of the order.
Well, Denard Span's starting to hit lefties, which is something Davey Johnson's been looking for. He's 3 for his last 5 against left-handed pitching.
Harper broke his bat. Michael Young. Worth is 1 for 2 with a base hit. If you're a season plan holder, you can take that experience to the all-inclusive suite level. About availability and for more info, check out nationals.com/club3, complete with pricing. Another productive night for Jason Worth. 9 for 27 career against Cliff Lee with 2 homers and 4 RBIs, including a single tonight. That drove in a run the first 2 innings ago.
Just looks hitterish every time he gets in the box. Confidence level high, swagger high, and his swing has been speaking for itself. Said he's having the most fun at the plate that he's ever had in his career right now. He just said he can't really enjoy it because of the way the ball club is going.
4 hits out of every 10 times up against the Phils this season. Busting him hard inside with a breaking ball, Cliff Lee. Counts 1-2. That was Carlton-like, that pitch.
It just seems like, for the first time as a National, that Jason Worth is just really letting the ball get deep. You remember his first year, he was jumping out there to get everything. Even last year, he would kind of collapse on that front side. Still had good at-bats, but you just saw right there in the foul ball, he's almost taking the ball to catcher's glove. And when you can do that as a hitter, it's a huge advantage. Quick bat, you're seeing the ball big, your feet are on time, which allows you to throw your hands wherever they need to go. When you're kind of drifting a little bit with your head, your hands will be late, or you're jumping at the baseball or flying open early, you can't put your hands where you want them to. But when you're on time like Worth is right now, you fire those hands wherever you want. Spoiling some nasty pitches.
Cliff Lee 10-5 on the year. 11th career start against the franchise.
You see what I mean? You see how long he's waiting in a two-strike count right now? Yeah, he's fouling off these pitches, but these are nasty pitches from Lee, and not really committing and getting out front where he's got that lead arm reaching for anything. Just last minute, ball's getting on him, whack, dropping the hands.
Fastball, if he doesn't swing these days, it's not a strike. That was a great take on a 1-2 pill by Cliff Lee. Desmond next. And Worth will just serve it to right field. We are watching some kind of hitting right now. So 2 for 3 tonight. On base 3 times last night. And that gets the tying run into the batter's box with Ian Desmond.
I mean, Jason Worth, just take that at-bat, go in the clubhouse tonight and watch it and watch it and watch it again, because you just can't do it any better than that. I'm talking about taking the ball out of the catcher's glove. Watch how deep he lets this get on the outer half and just rides it to right field. After fouling off a bunch of pitches that were on the black, Jason Worth finally puts one into play. For one of the better at-bats you'll see all year.
Great look on the Exmos. Sign up for a Verizon Fios triple play online. Just $89.99 a month with a 2-year agreement. You get your choice of a $300 Visa prepaid card or a $300 Amazon.com gift card.
Give one of those cards to Worth. That bat was gorgeous.
Desmond a walk and a double tonight. Scorched one over the center fielder's head last time. Looked at it low, 2-0. Nats are putting together some good at-bats right now. Ball 3.
You got a guy with 16 home runs. You're down by 2. Odds are you're getting a strike right here. I said green light all the way, and I'm sure Ian Desmond has that luxury right now.
Not Cliff Lee's best move.
No, I wouldn't say so.
A little calling card toss just to let Worth know he's aware of him.
An A move, a B move, and a C move. That was his Z move.
Desmond taking a big swing, and off to the right it goes. Great crowd tonight. Looks like well over 30,000 at the yard. Nats went over 2 million last night. Earliest they'd ever done that at Nationals Park. They beat it by a hair back in 05 at RFK. Three-two with one out. Worth holding. Desmond fouling.
I mean, they're putting some good at-bats on Cliff Lee right now. And that's all you can ask for as a manager. And guys to go up there and fight. And Ian Desmond trying to do the same thing Jason Worth just did.
Desmond called out. Cliff Lee strikeout number 6, 2 down.
The same pitch that Jason Worth hit to right field, just the backdoor cutter from Lee. Watch that frisbee kind of come back right at the end, 86 miles an hour. You see him getting his fingers on the outside of the ball to create that little cut at the end. So where as a hitter, you see a ball 4 or 5 inches off the plate when you have to make your decision. Next thing you know, it comes back to catch the corner.
Cholula on the pitch track. And with 2 outs, it's up to Adam LaRoche. RBI ground ball last time. Cliff Lee trying to go at least 6 innings for the 20th time in 22 starts.
Adam LaRoche didn't like strike one. What did pitch track think? Didn't like it either.
Boy, if pitch track misses one low, you know it was low.
Right.
That hits Adam LaRoche on a ball up and in. He's down to first. Worth walks to second. And a big opportunity now for Wilson Ramos on his 26th birthday.
Let's listen to it. A couple of sounds right there. Got him on the elbow. Oh, forearm. So now the go-ahead run comes to the plate in the form of Wilson Ramos.
Hard line drive to center. 8-3 double play back in the second. And then Cliff Lee turned one over on him, had him reaching for a ground ball to third in the fourth. Phillies bullpen getting active. Right-hander Justin DeFreitas, who pitched a scoreless 6th inning here last night in relief of John Lannon. Ramos with a base hit to right. Here comes Worth. Ruff will throw the other way, and the Nats are back to within a run. Wilson Ramos, his 20th RBI in his last 24 games, 26 on the year.
That ball was smoked. We're just going with the pitch right here. Outer half lets it get deep. It sounded like a bomb going off the bat of Ramos. And Trent Jewett with a good send with 2 outs. Ruff not really going to challenge anybody at the plate. You see the applause from the Nats dugout. Everybody approves. Nats within 1. Jason Worth's at bat starts it up, scores a second run of the night, and all of a sudden Cliff Lee's on the ropes.
Led 4-0. It's now 4-3. Tying run at second base. They're trying to give the bullpen time here. They've added left-hander Jake Diekman to the bullpen. And with Anthony Rendon stepping in, pinch hitter on deck for Tanner Roark.
Well, Rendon's had a couple of looks at Lee, and Lee's won the first 2 battles. Rendon struck out twice and trying to make the adjustment in a big situation here in the 6th.
Rendon, they play him straight away, infield and outfield, and he couldn't stop his swing. Home run, walk, 2 runs driven in, 2 runs scored last night. He's done some good damage lately against the Phils. Waits for that off-speed pitch to his left. Cody Ashe with a very good play. The Nats, though, getting closer. A run on 2 hits and a hit batter. Now into the late innings. Washington's turned a 4-0 deficit into a 4-3 game. Back into it. Pitching staff trying to keep this thing close. Tyler Clippard, this is a great AT&T fact. Since becoming a reliever on the 25th of June in 2009, he has the most strikeouts by any relief pitcher in Major League Baseball. 420, more than Mariano Rivera, more than Jonathan Papelbon, more than a lot of great relievers who pride themselves on coming in and blowing guys away. Kevin Franzen is going to hit here in the top of the 7th for Cliff Lee. So the Nats get Lee out of the ballgame after 6. Franzen as a pinch hitter, pretty good, real good. 12 for 40 with a homer, 9 RBIs and a liner right to Ian Desmond. And Tanner Roark, who's about to be pinch hit for in the bottom of this inning, still getting outs. Potomac Nationals back in town tomorrow. Tyler Moore, Carolina League MVP bobblehead highlighted on the homestand. Fireworks. $1 Monday, halfway to St. Patty's Day, and a Danny Espinosa backpack giveaway. 703-590-2311 or PotomacNationals.com. Jimmy Rollins, 1 for 3, RBI hit. Roark delivers that 92 to the outside corner. He's done some starting So he's going to be a reliever who works off the full windup with the bases empty. He's filled a variety of roles for the Nats in the organization. That'll be a little hopper to the right side for Adam LaRoche.
Well, I'll tell you what, with the Jordan shutdown, if Ole Ohlendorfer doesn't come back 100% healthy, you're looking at an option right here, right now, I would think.
He has, at least coming into this year, made 85 starts in the minor leagues. He won 9 ball games this year. And the league, the International League, only hit .217 against him. There's a lot to like about this 26-year-old right-hander who the Nats got at the trading deadline 3 years ago from the Rangers for Christian Guzman. High fly ball right field. Man, these guys must think they can do something with him. And all they do is make 6 quick outs. Ten Aurora now has 4 scoreless innings as a big league pitcher. 7th inning stretch brought to you by the Hyundai Clearance Countdown. Visit your local Hyundai dealers today. Roark keeps it close. Here come the Nats again. Bottom of the 7th, straight ahead.
Of Alexandria. How about Jason Worth tonight doing some serious damage for the Nationals and staying hot? 999 career hits. And we're going to show them both to you right now. A couple of good at-bats from Jason Worth, who the reigning player of the month, is just keeping on here in the month of August, doing the same thing he did in the month of July. So there's 998 and 999, one of the prettiest ones of the year. Serious 9-pitch battle with Cliff Lee ends with a base knock to right, and we're looking forward to hit number 1,000. I'm sure he is too. Hitting .419 against the Phillies.
Folks settling into their seats after the stretch. And Jake Diekman for the Phils. 26th appearance, league hitting .299 against him. Lombardozzi hitting .354 over his last 24 games.
You see Diekman, he's got a big fastball. It averages 96, 3/4 release. It's a slinger with a slider and a change to go with it.
Lombardozzi 0 for 1 career against him.
I mean, this is the job of pinch hitters nowadays. We talk about it all the time. You come off the bench and you're facing 96 to 100 every night. Not only 96 to 100, 96 from the left side with some serious funk to it. Not an easy job.
Tyler Clippard for the 8th. And how about Tanner Roark in 2 innings, 6 batters in a row, 6 outs on 12 pitches, 8 strikes. Lombardozzi with a good take, and the count's even 2-2. Top of the order, Denard Span suddenly swinging a great bat. Lombardozzi hanging tough here. All weekend long, Masson rewards our fans with great prizes, exclusive opportunities, part of its social media weekend, styled by the Haircuttery. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, mobile, Instagram. More ways to win. And share a haircut with a child in need. Find out at haircuttery.com/share a haircut. Full count now to Lombardozzi.
Huge pitch coming.
Zach Miner from the right side for the Phils. Probably for Zimmerman. 2 hitters away. Great at bat, Steve Lombardozzi. In part-time action lately, really locked in. And that's a big 90 feet for the Nats.
Yeah, 9-pitch walk, another spirited at-bat for the Nationals hitter. Tying run aboard.
Top of the order now. Denard Span against Jake Diekman. 2 career plate appearances, a base hit and a walk.
So you bunt right here?
I like the combination of the hitter and the runner. It's going to be bounced high off to the left side.
Well, you talk to left-handed hitters bunting against left-handed pitchers, especially guys that throw in the mid-90s from 3/4. Not that easy. And Denard Span, who's hit lefties better lately. You wonder after that effort if Davey Johnson, Trent Jewett keep it on. It's the right play. It's just not as easy as it would look with a guy like Diekman out there. The Span didn't show, and that's what everybody in the Phillies dugout was looking for on that throw over. One bunt single this year for Denard Span. How about that? You'd think he'd have about 5, 6, 7.
Yeah. He does have 17 other infield hits. Just doesn't bunt that often. That's a good one. Third baseman Ashe makes the call to Utley. 5-4. Sacrifice good. Tying run, second base, 1 out.
Nicely done. Not easy, and you deserve some high fives in your dugout, Denard Span.
Yeah, what a good night.
Guy throwing mid-90s, you stick in there, get the bunt down, and good situational baseball, good execution by the Nationals. Head right to the baseball, killing it softly right in the dirt, allowing Lombardozzi to get in a scoring position. Nicely done.
And it appears Diekman stays for Zimmerman. Checking the career matchup with 1 strikeout. Ryan is 0 for 2 against this lefty.
Well, this is where the left-right thing comes in for Davey Johnson. Tough to manage against a team that, with Bryce Harper on deck, you go to your righty, then what? You got to go to another lefty to get Harper, so looking to take advantage of this matchup right here, right now.
Fernando Abad up for the 2nd time tonight. 2-0. Diekman taking a little bit off that time. Changeup missing.
Have you noticed, I mean, over the last couple of weeks, the difference in approach with the National hitters? Kind of getting into more counts, seeing more pitches, more of a game plan. And when you have a game plan, every single at-bat, that's how you get deeper into counts. When you don't have a plan, you go up there, you're just swinging.
Runner going. Great jump. Stealing third, Steve Lombardozzi. Evidently, the runner had a game plan.
And the third base coach had a game plan, too. Trent Jewett, who studies hours of video every day, figures out guys' tendencies with runners on second base. And you watch Diekman, he's a one-look guy. As soon as his head rolls to the plate, he always goes home. And as soon as he looked away from Lombardozzi, he broke. And that's something you go over before the game by preparing with video. Jewett knew that and gave Lombardozzi the steal.
Infield in. Ball forward is Zimmerman. 4-pitch walk. That was Lombardozzi's third steal of the year, by the way, and the 8th of his career. So 2 walks here in the 7th. Rich Doobie will pay a visit to the mound. It's a lefty-lefty matchup coming up with Bryce Harper.
And Carl, just to break down the whole approach thing a little more simply for everybody at home, when you go up there looking for one pitch, it simplifies the at-bat. Now you're not trying to cover 3 different pitches. You're not guessing. If you walk up there with a plan, say, I'm looking fastball away this at-bat, you're taking everything but the fastball away. And there's certain times as a hitter when you go up there without a plan, and you're just kind of swinging. You're swinging in strikes, and that's how you become a little over-aggressive. And now with a game plan every at-bat, it simplifies things. It gets you into a count and helps you see more pitches. Something simple, but something that works.
Somebody wants the game-tying run to score right there. And what a great time this would be for Bryce Harper to get a little closer to 100 career. He's on 98 RBIs, 0 for 2 with a walk tonight. But against Diekman, he's 1 for 4. Front door breaking ball inside. Nissan will track it.
They tried the slider, and I think Ruiz, the way he caught it, might have taken the strike away.
Harper then on a breaking ball, really diving out, unable to reach it. 1-1.
That's just a guy sitting on 97 that got a slider, that's all.
Tying run, Steve Lombardozzi. He's walked, gone to second on a sacrifice, and stolen third. And Harper bunts. The ball's on the ground. It'll tie the game. How about that for career RBI number 99? Oh, man, that seemed like that was in the air for an eternity before it finally got turf.
I mean, that's just finding a way. Finding a way to get the job done any way you can. And Bryce Harper gets a nasty lefty, decides to go with the bunt for a hit. You see his head to the baseball, probably got a little bit too much of it, but it was in a direction to where he could. Chase Utley decides to get the force out at second base, but Bryce Harper with the RBI, driving in Lombardozzi, who started this whole thing up with a great at-bat.
Nats have tied the ball game. This call to the bullpen, packaged by the UPS store. We love logistics. 4 million members, 4 million stories. Navy Federal Credit Union. By Kia. Visit Kia.com to learn why Kia is one of the fastest growing car brands in America. And by University of Maryland University College. 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, 1500 South Capitol Street. Some fun going on this Saturday night. And it'll be a runner at first base. Harper with 2 outs, bottom 7. This is Zach Miner, 31-year-old right-hander who's been with the Tigers his entire big league career until a recent call-up with the Phillies.
Well, he's a 4-pitch guy, fastball, slider, curveball change. Fastball averaging 91 miles an hour. Doesn't throw the curveball that much, and you would think that Bryce Harper is off to the races sometime soon here in this sequence.
Jason Worth has never faced Zach Miner. And a high fly ball, left field line. It is up against the wall, and career hit number 1,000 is a home run that puts the Nats on top. For Washington, here's Ian Desmond. You knew he was going to go up hacking. This is amazing.
Are you kidding me? They talked about letting the ball travel, letting it get deep, and Jason Worth catches one out front. And just like that, 6-4 Nats. Congratulations, Jason Worth. Who's playing better than you? Oh, he just got a cement mixer right down the middle, caught her out front. Goes down to get it. And I don't think there's anybody in baseball playing better than Jason Worth right now. Just in the zone. Cleaning up. .438 against the Phillies this season, 4 taters.
Well, the Phillies were the ones toward the end of the 2010 season that said they could not afford to re-sign Jason Worth. The Nats picked him up, and a couple of years later, he's having the greatest stretch of his career. Desmond lashes one down the left field line. That'll hit the short corner. A fan interferes, and it's a ground rule double. And Ian Desmond has his 31st double of the year and his 49th extra base hit.
I mean, you're watching good baseball. This is the baseball that Nats fans and Davey Johnson's been waiting for all season long. You know, putting some good at-bats consistently on the Phillies here in the 7th. They've been doing it all night. Started with the Lombardozzi walk. The Span sacrifice bunt, doing the little things. Zimmerman walk. Bryce Harper finding a way to get the run in and then get it to your best player right now, Jason Worth, to take the lead. Good baseball.
Adam LaRoche will be walked intentionally. They'll go righty-righty against Wilson Ramos, and some of us aren't too upset about that. Not the way he's swinging. Don't forget his base hit last inning that made this a one-run game. Great to see the middle of the order delivering here.
It's just nice to see a very talented ball club playing the game the right way. And seeing that talent come out. I've already said I talked to Rich Doobie today. He told me, the Phillies pitching coach, that he still thinks the Nationals have as much talent as anybody in the National League, and he'll put them up against the Dodgers. He still thinks they're that talented.
Here's Wilson Ramos, 1 for 3. He's hit the ball hard twice. And a front door breaking ball from Zach Miner inside to a hitter he's never faced. Ramos reaching. Could be a hit. Deep short. The bases are loaded. And Ramos a 2 for 4 night with Anthony Rendon coming up.
Well, the Buffalo coming through, keeping the line moving right here. You know, Jimmy Rollins going a long way to keep this in the infield. And Trent Jewett, watch him almost tackle Ian Desmond right here to keep him on the base. And Ian Desmond knows that play. He's done that before, a little backdoor to get a guy around the base. Trent Jewett was having none of that. He was going for the form tackle right there, and Ian Desmond.
Rendon could bust this thing open now. 9th Nat to bat here in the 7th.
Hit the ball hard his last time up. Cody Ashley made a nice play, stealing a hit from Rendon.
And a breaking ball a little bit outside. Counts even 1-1. Nats have now put 15 runs on the board in this series on 22 hits. Inside, ball 2. Desmond, LaRoche, Ramos, 3rd, 2nd, and 1st. That's 3-1.
Put another good at-bat on somebody.
Yeah, Zach Miner's got to throw a strike, and Rendon hopefully getting something to deal with. And this is the man who led this off with a pinch hit walk on a great at-bat, Steve Lombardozzi. It's in there, outer half. 3-2.
But see, that's part of game plan hitting right there. If you're looking for something on the inner half, you're not going to swing at a 3-1 pitch on the black away. So you just say, I'll go to a 3-2 count and see what happens.
Mercedes-Benz on the pitch track.
You don't have a plan there. You flail at it and ground out to second.
Fastball up, base hit. 2 more runs coming in. Rendon delivers. The Nationals lead 8-4.
What an at-bat, what an inning. When you talk about a single inning of baseball for the Nationals all season long, this has had everything. Great at-bats, great execution, clutch hitting. Your big guys coming through with runners in scoring position, getting big hits, and another great at-bat right there by a Nationals hitter, Anthony Rendon, finishing it with everybody in the first base dugout approving. And the line is officially moving.
Steve Lombardozzi came in to pinch hit. Now he bats for the 2nd time in the same inning. That one speared by Michael Young to save another run. Amazing inning by the Nats. Big blow. Jason Worth in a 4-4 game. His 1,000th career hit. It leaves the premises. And the Nats score 2 more to lead 8-4. One of the best innings of the year. Putting a ball club on his back and carrying it and then waiting for everybody else to get hot. And that's what Jason Worth is doing for the Nationals offense right now. He is just amazing.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's absolutely locked in. He's putting the ball club on his back. But I think when you talk about the 7th inning, I mean, that's what I was talking about last night, winning the day. I mean, you talk about guys winning at-bats, right? They're great at-bats. I mean, how many times have you seen 2 sacrifice bunts in an inning for the Nationals this year? He had some great walks, some clutch hits. I mean, that's the inning they've been waiting for all season long. If they play baseball consistently like they just did, they're going to be in this thing in September. I mean, that's exciting to see a ball club finally coming around. And not so much the 5 runs. We've seen them have 5-run innings before, but the way they did it, that's the way you play the game.
Yeah, and the defense has been better lately. Tonight, the offense gets the pitching off the hook to a certain extent. Although Taylor Jordan really battled. Tanner Roark was great, and now here's Tyler Clippard trying to get this thing to the 9th inning. For Washington, leadoff man Chase Utley. Clippard, fastball in there. Utley 0 for 2 with a walk. And against Tyler Clippard career, Utley is 3 for 11 with a home run. Tyler gives him the breaking ball, shows it to him up and away. And another one. It's right-hander Luis Garcia for the Phils. Utley with the fastball away. Skies it to left, and Bryce Harper is there. Ball coming right back to him. Nats haven't given up a hit since the 4th inning. Great to have WUSA 9 with us tonight. Afternoon coverage today and tomorrow of the PGA Championship, and they joined us when golf wrapped up today. Great to have them with us. Game on. That's the way the Nats are playing right now as well. Dominic Brown 1 for 3, single, run scored. Clippard delivers a fastball that just did miss.
Now, don't forget about Taylor Jordan, how he settled down tonight, too. You get excited about a 5-run 7th, and you should, but we mentioned at the time, very mature stuff from him to keep his ball club in the game, and the wheel's not coming off.
Oh, man, this game could have gotten out of hand. Dominic Brown hammers one way out of here. And for Brown, his 26th of the year, it's now a 3-run game. Dominic Brown tied with Carlos Gonzalez of the Rockies for the 3rd most homers in the league.
26th home run of the year, and I don't think you hit a ball any better than this. You see the location mistake, the reach by Ramos, about a 2 or 3 glove mistake, was supposed to be away. We said Dominic Brown's a good low ball hitter. That was right into his swing plane, and he got all of that one.
Good change up by Clippard, 85. Then he goes fastball, 93 upstairs. Powder River. Right up there. 2 outs.
Well, that's the way Tyler Clippard used to get guys out 2 years ago in 2011, is that elevator fastball up in the zone. Looks like it's coming down belt high, kind of planes out and stays letter high, and it's tough to catch up to.
2 outs for Cody Ashe, the rookie third baseman, 1 for 3 with a run scored. Dan Clippard will give up a fly ball to center that'll play for Denard Span. Well, Tyler went right after some guys in the 8th inning. Phillies get the homer from Dominic Brown, but the Nats will lead by at least 3 into the 9th. Tomorrow. He's made 3 starts against the Nats this year, 1-1 with a 3.20. Overall, he is 10-8. Steven Strasburg, a 1.76 ERA at home in Nationals Park, 5th in the National League. Looking for win number 6. Coverage begins at 4:30 with Nats Extra. Remember, first pitch 5:05 tomorrow. Special starting time, first time ever for a Sunday regular season home game.
Oh, back to the bottom of the 7th inning. Jason Worth, 1,000th career hit. I can't think of a better way to do that, right? 17th home run of the year, puts his team ahead. I mean, storybook stuff for the Nats right fielder. And the great season of Jason Worth continues.
Last time the Nats were down by 4 or more and won, July 29th. Last year at Milwaukee, they were down 7-3 in the 8th. Michael Morse and company kind of went crazy with a long ball. They tied it and won 11-10 in the 11th. Right-hander Luis Garcia for the Phillies. Denard Span, good night. They'll bounce it to the right side for Chase Utley. It'll be a 2-for-4 night with a key sacrifice for Denard Span. Ryan Zimmerman has chipped in with a double and a walk tonight. Goes up ripping in a fastball.
Doesn't like to swing at the first pitch, but every once in a while he'll come up there late in the game and go for the ambush. But his swing looks so much shorter, so much quicker to me. And he doesn't mind hitting an 0-1 count apparently.
That's a hard breaking ball down. Counts 0-2.
Yeah, 2 pitches, fastball, slider. Fastball averages 94, slider 84.
Rafael Soriano. It's a safe situation now that Dominic Brown hit that home run. Pretty impressive that since Taylor Jordan left the game, it's taken the Nats bullpen only 23 pitches to pitch 3 innings and get it to this point. 12 pitches in 2 innings by Tanner Roark. The most impressive pitching feat of the night after the turnaround by Jordan. Zimmerman. Pretty good rip.
Got a pitch.
That was center cut, huh?
Yeah, a little slider right out over the plate. Took a good hack at it. I mean, just a noticeable difference in Ryan Zimmerman's swing.
Swing for the fences, new home run derby mobile game from MLB.com. Available for iPhone, iPad, select Android devices. You can download it free right now.
Does it have all the kids shagging out in the outfield running into each other?
I hope not. Nasty slider in the dirt. Zimmerman strikes out. 2 down in the 8th. This copyrighted telecast presented by authority of the Washington Nationals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Washington Nationals. Bryce Harper chipping in a big way last time with a sacrifice that he dropped to tie the game. His 40th RBI of the year, 99th career.
You know what that at-bat tells me, and should tell everybody at home, is he just wants to win. How many times do you see a guy hitting third in a major league lineup drop down a bunt with a runner on third for an RBI?
Hardly ever.
That's for the ball club. That's just trying to find a way to win a game, and that pretty much tells you all you need to know about Bryce Harper. And probably didn't feel real confident against a left-handed slinger either, but that's what I talk about when I say finding a way. That's finding a way to get the job done.
That tied the game before Worth and Rendon took over with 4 more RBIs. And Bryce will take it downstairs. Mentioned this earlier. He has struck out 61 times this year. He has walked 41 times. That's a great ratio for a guy who hits for power and at times finds a way to get on base when things may not be going great for him. Another good take.
Is it bad right now? I'm thinking I want Bryce Harper to get on so I can see Jason Worth hit again.
Soriano pitched with a 4-run lead, not 3.
Just want to see that guy hit. It's fun.
Sure. Worth's been on base 6 times in this series. And Harper will take the walk. What a good night for Bryce, even though he's hitless. Jason Worth stepping in. Julie has more.
Well, unfortunately, they can't authenticate his 1,000 hit ball because it went into the stands. But the bat, the MLB authenticator who sits here in the dugout next to me, he put a sticker on Jason Worth's bat, and Jason Worth immediately came over and said, hey, you got to give that back to me. I'm keeping that bat. The authenticator did not argue, put the sticker on and handed it right back to him.
Yeah, that may be taking authenticating a little too far.
What's wrong with that guy?
During a game.
Come on. Funny how when you're playing as well as Jason Worth, you never hear about the contract anymore. First year, it's all you heard was how long the contract was, how much it was for, 7 for 126. You're playing well. You never really hear that anymore, do you? Almost like you could change his name to Jason Worth it. Funny how that works.
Well, we know what Philly fans have been calling him for 3 years, so this has to be sweet for all of us to watch this.
Put an IT past his last letter on his back.
2-1.
It's better than gluten-free, I'll tell you that.
Zimmerman's a moniker for him back in April.
I've seen some 28 gluten-free jerseys floating around the yard, too.
Well, if this is what you can do, may we all watch what we eat.
Sure. I just like free.
Worth high in the air to dead center field. Way back is Martinez. He's under it. And Jason Worth, just for the fun of it, put a charge into one more.
Wow.
3 for 5. 3 RBIs. Got to smile a little bit into the 9th inning. Things tomorrow. Nats by 3 into the 9th. Soriano taking the mound. The Mid-Atlantic Sports Report returns Monday 5 to 7. Tom, Dave, Mel, and Phil open up the Mass and mailbag. Answer your questions. Find out which players they are high and low on in the weekly stock report. The Mid-Atlantic Sports Report Monday at 5. Rafael Soriano, 16 of his last 17 save opportunities converted.
And opponent's average sitting at 250, right? He's only hitting 227. Fastball, cut fastball, slider. Fastball in the low 90s.
Soriano faces Carlos Ruiz, who's 1 for 5 against him. Michael Martinez follows him, and then the number 9 spot. With a save at stake, the distinctive start of his delivery, and a high fastball, high in the zone, that is, for a strike. Ruiz out to right center. Span after it. He will get there! Rolling his way to a fantastic play.
I mean, it just doesn't get better than that. I mean, as a center fielder, when the ball's tailing away from you because it has that inside-out rotation, it's tough to catch up. And that ball's going away from Span the whole way, and full speed reaching out, taking it off the top of the grass. Makes one of the best running catches you'll see. It's so hard to keep your head still when you reach down that low for a baseball. You have a tendency to move your head and the ball jumps on you. For him to make that play on the run like that is as good as it gets. Wow.
Michael Martinez is next.
There's been a couple of balls the last two nights in right center field that have had that inside-out kind of cut rotation to it, that are trying to get in the gap, where Denard Span just simply outruns the baseball, takes a direct right route to it, and makes the play. Impressive.
One ball and two strikes to Michael Martinez, who has never faced Soriano. And he lashes a fastball right at Anthony Rendon. 2 outs. Couple of hot shots. Nats Extra presented by PNC Bank when this one's over. Waiver pickup from the White Sox just 2 days ago. Casper Wells will be the final hope of the Phillies here, pinch hitting. $155 with 1 RBI in the American League with Chicago. His first at bat as a Philly. Soriano has just come in here and thrown strikes. Well, out of Towson State, Casper Wells, Baltimore native. And that's off the mask of Wilson Ramos. I'll tell you, the end of this game is kind of like an express train that's hard to stop. 32,676 have witnessed quite a show. Slider down and away, game over. And for a couple of nights here, the Nationals playing some championship baseball.
Well, they talked about winning the day. Once again, 2 days in a row, the Nats have done it with some really good baseball once again here at Nats Park.
And now they've won the weekend, looking for a sweep tomorrow.